She's a certified forest therapy guide, a singer, a songwriter, an author, a speaker. She has a new book called A Moon in All Things. Jennifer, very nice to have you with us. Good morning.
Thank you, Warren. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, we're thrilled, and I see you live in one of my favorite spots up in southern Maine, huh?
Yes, kind of on port. Yeah. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. I love the beaches along the southern coast of Maine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm about a half a mile away as the crow flies, so I'm very lucky.
Also love the Algonquin Playhouse, which has been around for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do some really quality plays and shows there.
Yeah. So has the weather been very hot up there like it has been here this summer?
Oh goodness, yes. After a rainy spring, it's now the grass is dry and brown, and it's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this dry.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to fall. I don't know about you. It's a beautiful time of year.
Well, I say that it's my favorite season, the one we're in. So I try to just stay and find the beauty in the ones that are right here, right now.
Okay. So the book is called A Moon in All Things. That's a very interesting title. Where'd that title come from?
Well, I actually was in Ireland doing research for my novel because A Moon in All Things is set in 1820s Western Ireland. And there was an oil barrel laying by its side, just in a parking lot. And I looked at the butt end of this oil drum, and it looked like a moon. And I took a photo of it, and I sent it to my friend back here in Maine. And I said, "Look at this. This looks like a moon." And she texted me back, and she said, "Well, there's a moon in all things, I guess."
Yeah.
And that became the germ of the story and the seed of the title.
Jennifer, do you have an Irish background yourself?
I do, on my mother's side. She was all Irish, and so yes, I grew up hearing all of the stories of the ancestors and the various anecdotes of the characters, the lively and sometimes blackguardly characters that were my mother's family.
So this book centers around Morrigan Lane, right, back in the 1820s in Ireland, and she's trying to figure out a bit about her ancestors. Is that right?
Yeah, she's born a seeker. She has a kind of a desire to be different than everyone else. She wants to be a sea captain. She wants to be an explorer at a time where women were pretty much required to just become proper wives. And so she's different in that way. And she also has a kind of knowing, what they would call the second sight. And so she doesn't know what to do with that, but she hears a message from the other world. And the other world, of course, is that invisible plane that the Irish, in their deep-rooted belief in the supernatural, were very intimately connected with, that she must use those gifts. And so she goes on a little inner journey and outer quest to find out what is hers to do.
Tell us about this haunting vision that she stumbles upon.
Yeah, she has an encounter on the coast with Manannán, which in Irish mythology is the sea god. And so she is beckoned into the ocean by the sea god. And that really sets in motion this journey of something's not quite as we would expect it to be in her very, very poor fishing village. There's something else afoot than just fishing every day and trying to eke out a living with potatoes.
So tell us a bit more about this journey of hers without, of course, giving the whole story away. And I suppose there's some interesting background family secrets involved here.
Well, there are a few. Some of the characters have been patterned after some relatives of mine. And in fact, the pub owner, who is Connie McDonough in the story, is patterned after my great-great-grandfather, who was Connie O'Rourke. And my mother used to say, "Oh, he owned a pub and he was his own best customer." And she said he was called the Blackguard. And so he's a character. In general, Morgan's got this, she has the lineage of her great-grandmother, Isla, who was known as Isla the Great Healer. And so Isla could heal people in mysterious ways that those in power would have found quite dangerous because they didn't have that proclivity. So she has also inherited those gifts. So she really has to figure out what they are, how to use them, and she goes on this journey and she begins to discover, as in the case of stories that have some magical realism like mine, she starts to find the same healing tools that her great-grandmother had in odd places. They just sort of appear in her life. And so she begins to learn how to use those tools. And of course, her mother, Betha, is quite staunchly Catholic and very much afraid for her daughter because she's entering into this territory of, ooh, you're becoming dangerous to the powers that be. And so she tries to keep her daughter from going down that path of really what it is, which is using her gifts for good.
So how resilient is Morrigan through all this?
She is, it's what we would call in story structure a heroine's journey. So unlike the hero's journey looks sort of like the typical bell curve. He steps out, he conquers the dragon, he comes back home, and the village celebrates. Well, the heroine's journey is it's like an up and down roller coaster. So she is constantly wondering, what is this that I have? How come I can speak in a universal language that in my book is called the once and only language? How can I be speaking to a wolf? And how is it that he can be understanding me? And so that she's fraught with uncertainty and doubt the whole way through. But she keeps receiving signs and assurances that you are on your path. So I think in some ways that's the way we all live our lives. We aren't all like the hero that goes out and conquers the, dragon. We're full of doubts and questions and uncertainties. And that's really who Morrigan is as well.
Jennifer, did someone draw her to this journey, or was this something she created on her own?
Yeah, as I mentioned, she received a message from, I won't spoil it. I'll just say a non-human being from the other world. Mm-hmm. And that non-human being tells her, I am the messenger, and I have come to tell you that your birth has been recognized in the spirit world. You are here for a reason. And he calls her, and it's an Irish Gaelic name, Anínsha, which means the spring from which the life force flows. And I didn't want to use a word like a druid or anything that has its own baggage in terms of, how people might perceive it. So I just looked for an Irish Gaelic word like fountainhead, and that's what I came up with, Anínsha. So he tells her she is Anínsha, she is gifted, and she must use those gifts because it is the way of things that the fate of the world rests upon the fate of your own small village. That's what he tells her.
Does she accomplish what she was setting out to do in this story?
Oh, now, Warren, that would ruin it for everyone.
I thought you could just give us a little hint here. I know, we don't want to ruin it.
She does.
You don't have to answer that. That's okay.
Yeah, she does and she doesn't. How's that?
Okay.
Because there are things like all of us, when we pursue our dreams, there are other things that you have to let go of. And there are other things that you might just fall by the wayside that were of value. And so, yeah, it's a trade-off is what I'll say.
Okay. Is there quite a bit of myth as opposed to reality in this story?
Well, the story is very grounded in the everyday lives of the fishing village in Western Ireland. I did a ton of research. I worked with a University of Galway professor throughout the years as I wrote it. This is a 10-year journey. And so yes, it's very grounded so that the characters kind of really feel like they could have been your neighbors, even under, obviously, in the 1820s. And at the same time, because of this unconquerable reverence for superstition and these deep embedded practices that they had, the story wouldn't have been real if I didn't include those kinds of things. So the things that we would call magical realism, which is reality, which is magic that's treated as real. And that's what's in the story.
Sounds like a wonderful read. Again, the book is called A Moon in All Things. Jennifer Comeau is the author of the book. Jennifer, nice to have you with us today. Thank you so much. And enjoy your day up there in Kennebunk. It's a beautiful part of the country.
Thank Thank you so much, Warren. I loved being here.
Certainly. Have a great day now. We're 19 before 10 o'clock. Warren in the morning with you here on the radio as we are every weekday morning, 6 till 10. Support for the Radio Kingston Community Fund is provided by Theater on the